Hey, Shalom. First thing and foremost, I want to give all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect. Noah's in his gospel, abroad, lifting up the standard of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is a copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowed is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. I tend not to make any money off this video. No profit, no particular self-purpose or nothing that's driven from a selfish standpoint. So that's just a disclaimer. This video is for teaching purposes only and an edifying of our audience, mainly of the Hebrew Israelite community, which is the Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, according to the Bible, the 12 tribes of Israel. This video is for teaching and educational purposes only. All right, I will not make any money off this video. So with that being said, I have two videos I want to go into. The first one being 1973 Special Report Welfare in a Fatherless Family. Okay, the trap, as they call it. And then the story of the Robert Taylor homes, which goes hand in hand with the video of the welfare recipients and the fathers being driven out of the homes in order to promote single mothers and debauchery among our nation. Okay, because when you look at the dynamic of a broken home structure or a broken structure, you tend to have what you have today as far as gang violence, the prison populace being mainly predominantly men of color, shooting, robberies, homicides, poverty, okay, lack of resources, less educated, and pretty much just irked out of society as a whole. Okay, and anybody that's from Chicago, Illinois, know the history of the Robert Taylor homes, Cabrini Green. You got the Ickeys, you got the PCs, the Dearborns, you know, All Gale Gardens, and that's just the name of a few housing projects in Chicago. But it was this video about this brother, man, Ape and Gorilla Clips. I guess he does documentaries on footage that's pretty much already circulating YouTube. And basically he's going into how poverty and how, you know, the single family homes and so forth was created in order to break Jake down, but understanding this is part of the curses. And me, myself, growing up in this environment, my family actually lived in these buildings. I lived in these buildings all the way up until I was like 2 or 3 years old. Then we moved, but my family has lived there. My mother met my father, and they were living in the projects, etc. My grandparents, you know, my aunties, uncles, cousins, sisters, you know, we all come from this environment. We actually lived in these particular buildings, not this one per se, but the Robert Taylor homes. We actually grew up in those for like a short time in our lives, or at least until I was like 2 years old. But to show you that this is real, man, and this is all a curse that the Most High has put upon us, and the so-called white man Esau, Edom, has pretty much perpetuated that. And that's the concept of the so-called Black American now, man. And when they tear these buildings down, then you have suburbs like Hazel Crest, Country Club Hills, Homewood, you know, those places, Alsip, Cal Park, you know, you go to Lombard, which is the west suburb of Chicago. You go out there, you mainly have the people that was dispersed from these particular communities that was dispersed into the suburbs, and now you have mass crime out there in the suburbs, which is all done by design. But without further delay, I'm going to play the first two videos. I'm going to play both of these videos back to back. Matter of fact, you know what I'll do? In case they want to get stupid. In case they want to get stupid, because I should have just started off playing the first video. That way, if they got stupid, I could have just cut that instead of speaking, and then save this one into the end of the video, and then, you know, that'll work that way. That way I could just kind of chop the beginning and the end of it, and you would just have me speaking on these things. You still have a video to watch, but I'm confident that they won't flag it or anything like that. So I'm gonna play the first video, then I'm gonna play the story of the Robert Taylors once I shut the video down. So in case they do get stupid, I could just cut the end part of the video and you would still have the scriptures and the speaking. So here we go.
Fathers are often driven away so that mother and children can eat.
85% of the head of household is a woman, because most of the men who should be in the household, they cannot make a decent living. And of course it is better to know that a child will be fed 12 months out of the year than 3 months, which during the summer when construction work you can make a decent living.
The man in the house rule was written to prevent welfare cheating, to make sure that aid to families with dependent children would go only to families headed by mothers. But the effect of the man in the house rule is to create for children an atmosphere of investigation and surveillance, and thus the welfare system in its operation turns out to be a system to make life harder for children.
The welfare system helps the disintegration of the American family. It offers money to families if the fathers will leave them and stay away, in that sense undoing the very stability of the family and taking away one of the two parents that children, of course, need. And what I have seen, I'm afraid to say, all over the country is that the legal system works against the best kind of home for these children. We don't encourage parents to be at home with the children. We don't encourage mothers to feel that they can find their destiny as mothers. We take away, in many of the most vulnerable homes, fathers from those homes. We herd foster children together in institutions rather than trying to find decent homes for them. We don't tap the resources we have in communities and with respect to older people so that they can help out vulnerable homes. We don't sanction and encourage and support in every way, morally, psychologically, and financially, the dignity and integrity of the home. And in the worst of it is that the homes that are most vulnerable are the homes that are least supported by the policies of local, state, and federal governments. And no wonder then, out of these more vulnerable neighborhoods, we get an endless cycle of troubled, delinquent, wayward youth who grow up even more and become the lawbreakers of our society. Now, I don't know how you break this cycle except by starting out with young children.
And that's absolutely right, man. He stated that those particular dynamics were set up to destroy Jake, man. Okay, poverty, he said, oftentimes the time they need the most support, get the less support. And that's where they get that term deadbeat from, because the men were pushed out of the homes and the woman, due to feminism and the empowerment of women, that pretty much left the families in shambles, man. And then generations later, decades later, you have this whole thought culture, you have this gang culture. Okay, you have this culture of men not being in the house and labeled deadbeats when you actually have men that have a desire to be in their children's lives, man. But the woman has been totally duped by this system. Then hence the Title 4D, okay, child support. Okay, that comes from stuff like welfare, because see what happened during the time of the 50s and 60s. Well, mainly the 50s, you had what they called the Civil Rights Movement, which the Civil Rights Movement was set up to do just this. Because how is this better being integrated under a corporation that has told you that you have a way to live, and clearly you're snared in Robert Taylor homes? Because right after the Civil Rights Movement, during that process, they built up these Robert Taylor homes. But if you go back into the early 1900s, the 20s, and even prior to the Great Depression, you had Israelites that was living in nice homes, man. Plush brownstone homes. I mean, mini mansions, doing good for themselves. But all of a sudden now, segregation, which segregation was actually a good thing for Jake when we were prospering. But now when we integrated among each other, now all of a sudden, now look at this, you have fucking project concrete ghettos built up. Because these buildings were designed to house 11,000 people. You have 16 stories, and I don't know how many apartments are in these buildings per se. It's been a while. They tore them down. I think they tore down the last tower back in 2007 of Robert Taylor's, the Cabrini Green Tower. The last tower went down in 2011. But these apartments were set to house 11,000 people, but yet you had a populace of 22 to 24,000 people staying in these particular units, man. Okay, and there were several of these units. Each block had about 4 of these buildings built up. Okay, you had them all the way built from 63rd and State Street all the way down to 22nd and State Street, which another housing or apartment or another housing project was literally adjacent to that, because you got the Dearborns that was right down the street from the Taylors, and then right down from the street from the Robert Taylor, you had what they call the Harold Icky homes, the Ickies, which Jake so brag about. Oh, I'm from the Ickies, I'm from the PCs. But if you look up Harold L. Icky, he's a fucking Edomite, man. So you Jakes, man, you're totally lost. You don't know. This was set up for our destruction. Okay, so it's good. And this was done by design, just to let you know. While you Jakes are fighting over city blocks, this is Esau, man. He set this up to destroy us. Now look at our people, man. They totally are gone, and the culture is totally sickening, man. All right, Keisha's walking around with blonde hair, blue hair. Okay, these witch nails. Keisha's all into freaking witchcraft, man. Jake is all into being a momo, a tomboy, you know, a soy boy. All right, but this is the book of Mark 3, and I'm gonna start at verses. Let's start at verses 27. It says, "No man can enter to a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he will first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house." And this going back to the first video here, when he was basically stating that the fathers were literally forced out of the homes, and that came after feminism, man. Okay, because they had the whole thing, equal rights, women's rights. Women should have the ability to work and make the same wage as men. But men put this society together for the comfort of you women, man. Because when you look at 99.8% of this world, it was all built up by men. These cities, they were built up by men. Now you women, you oftentimes you profit, or you profit off of it, because the metropolis that was built up for your comforts, because the city just built is really for women. Okay, you know, the bars and the close restaurants and the fine dining and the lofts, all this shit is really built up for the comfort of women, because women are known to be the most consumers. They spend the most money. They make up 73% of the consumers in America is women. Even when it comes to buying houses, women make up the majority of it. Oftentimes women put their buying a house or buying some type of investment over the marriage of the family, and that's statistically proven. And you can look up those facts, man. That's why in the real estate market you have more women realtors. When back in the day you had more men realtors, but now you have more women realtors. Okay, you have more women that's buying property. Women are having better credit because this society was set up for them. That's why you have what they call a metropolis, which metropolis goes into mother city, if you look it up. Okay, so feminism, then women's rights, okay, that all came about. Then all of a sudden you had women that's able to work. And when they was able to make their own wages, man, they was like, to hell with this, man. We can work and get fucking welfare. Shit, we don't need you niggas for nothing. We only need penis. That's all we really want, but we don't care for your money. And on top of that, Jake was totally being put down. Okay, being forced out of the work environment, out of the work culture, being evicted from their homes, man. A lot of Jake came back from Vietnam, was all messed up off, not opiates, but the Tuskegee, etc. Jake was all messed up, high on drugs. So that was a time that Esau bind the strong men, which is our people, or the Israelite male, and he took over and gave the women the advantage. And the woman saw that as being, oh, well, our men ain't shit. But they don't understand that that was a strategic tactic or a blow that was delivered to destroy your household, man. It wasn't the fact that the men didn't want to provide for the families, but Esau, Edom being the devil, using subtlety, he forced us out of the house, man. And now you just have a bunch of men walking around here not even dealing with their children. And a lot of it comes from the women not being cooperative, because this destroyed them. When they knew that they had benefits, they knew that they had welfare, child support, that gave women a license to act out of character, to the point that most men just like, fuck that shit. I'm not dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, like I give the account of my situation with me and my child's mother. You know what I'm saying? My child took it care of, whatever, cool relationship, whatever, but I wasn't going to stay in a situation that I wasn't going to get any type of solace from or no respect from. You know what I'm saying? I tell any man this. I'm like, look, I would rather walk away from anything before I have to simp to be in a kid's life. Meaning I'm not going to sell out for that. You know what I'm saying? Because people look at it, well, why aren't you and your child's mother together? Or why didn't y'all work out? And this is just this is all across the board for Jake, not just my situation. But usually they say, well, why didn't you stay with the child's father? Well, a lot of times the father leaves because the women are totally unbearable because of the benefits they have, because of the leverages they have, because they can get away with fucking murder. And my thing is, if I can't run my household the way I need to run it, I'm not going to be there because it ain't going to benefit me or the child. You see, but they created that pretentious dynamic between men and women to the point, this is why niggas are in jail. And then when he gets shot up in a corner somewhere, the mother's on the news screaming, what did I do wrong? Well, you fell for the system. You fell for the okie doke. You fell for the rat trap. You went straight for the cheese on the trap and you got caught in it. Now look at you. Okay. So it says, no man can enter to a strong man's house and spoil his goods except he will first bind the strong man and then spoil his house. And that's the point, man. Our houses have been spoiled, but that's due to the curses. Okay, because Yahweh Shemi Hawashai said he was going to do this to us because we didn't keep the law, statutes, and commandments, man. Okay, so let's get that real quick, Deuteronomy 28 real quick. Deuteronomy 28, and I'm going to start at verses 16. It says, cursed should be thou in the city, and cursed should be thou in the field. Okay, we're cursed all over the nation. We're cursed all over the world because remember, we was dispersed into the four corners and into the different kingdoms of this world. Okay, not only here in America, you got ghettos and gangs and shit. You got a equivalent Bloods and Crip gang out there in the UK. The same wickedness that goes on in America goes on in the UK, goes on in France. Everywhere where Jake is at, you have gangs, man. Okay, you have poverty. Okay, you have murder. It says, cursed should be thy basket and thy store, your bank account. Cursed should be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land, the fruit of thy body being your children. Okay, snared in holes, the gangs and so forth, the increase of thy kind and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed should be when thou comest in, and cursed should be when thou goest out. And you look up this is nothing but a curse, man, because check this out. I did Robert Taylor Holmes and gang violence, right? Now, there's several documentaries on this. True Stories from Robert Taylor Holmes, Volume 10. Lord knows, don't you? Okay, GD versus GD, Gangster Disciple, right? That's a very notable gang in Chicago, in the Midwest, period. But True Stories from the Robert Taylor Holmes, Disrespect and Death, all Jake on Jake crime. And Esau just sits back and he watches it. He's glorified at it. Because remember, the scriptures say that he should shoot at the righteous from secret and should seek to destroy the poor. That's what he did by building this shit up, man. You know? And we gonna see in that documentary, True Crime or True Stories from the Robert Taylor Holmes, Volume 7, Stone to the Bone. And they call this shit the Hole, man. So every lot, you got about 3 or 4 of those buildings, and you have over fucking 1,000 people in each building, man. Okay, so how many people is that? 24, 25, 26,000 people huddled up. It's like prison, man. You know, they got these big steel gates up there because people was getting thrown from the 15th floor. It was a shit show, man. Robert Taylor's Home Stories, Murder at Close Range. And we can go on for days about the wickedness that goes on in these places, man. And that was all done by design. Okay. It says, cursed should be when thou comest in, and cursed should be when thou goest out. And the Lord should send upon thee cursing and vexation and rebuke. And that's what that is, man. And all that thou settest thy hand for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because the wickedness of thy doings whereby thou hast forsaken me, man. Okay, and that's the point. We forsook the Lord, so we were put into these predicaments. And the Lord has used the so-called white man to inflict that pain on us, man. But see, Esau Edom is going to pay for that because he took it too far. Okay, so this is the book of Isaiah 10, and I'm going to start at 1. It says, what sorrow awaits the unjust judges and those who issue unfair laws? That was totally unlawful what they did to us, man. Okay, stuffing us in these big concrete buildings, man, with like sardines. That was like equivalent to being on the slave ships, man. I mean, big cinder blocks, man. I mean, you hearing shootings right outside your door. Motherfuckers getting raped in the stairwell. People getting raped on the elevator, shot on the elevator. Piss in the hallways, man. Dead bodies everywhere. You know, graffiti. To the point is like that. It's like, damn, you know. It says, and they deprived the poor of justice and denied the rights of the needy among my people. And that's what they did with this whole women's lib, with this whole, what you call it, the welfare system. They denied Jake the right to live, man. And like that man said in the interview, he basically stated that we didn't have resources, man. Because even moving to the far south side of Chicago, out there in the Calumet district, man, out there by Riverdale, and you got the Roseland area, man, those were beautiful places at a point in time. But if you look at 119th, matter of fact, let's say 103rd in Michigan all the way down to 130th, man, it's nothing but straight hell, especially between 103rd Street and 119th Street. You know what I'm saying? It's a straight hell, straight poverty, man. You know, and they trying to build it back up now, because even back in those days, you know, Black Wall Street, etc., those were thriving communities, man. But you look at them now, it's full of gang violence, no resources. Kids results of gang violence and drug dealing. The schools are all within, you know, a particular circumference. So you may have a neighborhood here that may be BD, that neighborhood may be GD, that neighborhood may be Blackstone, and somehow we end up going to the same high school and we end up fucking each other up, man. You know, like, honestly speaking, like when I was in the world and I was in high school, I don't know, and I'm just a little history. I don't know how the fuck I survived that, and I don't know how the hell I was cool with most of the people in my high school, but I think I was only like I think it was like only 7 Black Stones, and I was actually one of them. 7 Black Stones out of a whole school full of GDs, and I made it through that shit. For whatever reason, the folks, they never fucked. They never fucked with me, man. I was always cool with them, but they hated the moles, man. That's like Bloods and Crips type shit. You know, because the Black Stones, the Vice Lords, the Four Corner Hustlers, the Mickey Cobras and shit, they all ride under what they call the People's Alliance, the 5 Point Star. Then you got the folks, the GDs, the BDs, the Maniac Latin Disciples, etc. They ride under what they call the Folks Alliance, man. And we rode under the Peoples. They was under the 6 Point Star. We rode under the 5 Point Star. You know what I'm saying? Just a little history on that. But it was only like 7 moles that went to the high school I went to, and it was full of nothing but gangster disciples. But somehow the Lord protected me, man, because I ain't never had no issues like that up there. And I got into a couple of scuffles, of course, you know, and doing straight Jake shit, you know, skipping, you know, just doing stupid Jake shit, man. Just you know, Jake know what we did in them days, you know, when we were younger. But other than that, man, I didn't have too many problems out of people in there, you know, outside of the authority, you know. But it was just it's a shame, man, how we all get integrated into this mix up, and then before you know it, friends become enemies, man. You know, like half the people I grew up with in my neighborhood, all of us grew up together. All our parents knew each other, had a community, but it just like somehow when we got older, everybody was divisive because everybody joined different gangs. You know what I'm saying? The men I used to play in the sand blocks with, flipping Ninja Turtles and shit in the sand, all of a sudden, you know, 10, 15 years later, now we barely speak to each other because now he's this and I'm that. But yet this nigga stay right on the next block from me type shit. The curses, man. Esau has totally just destroyed our people. You know? Like if he ended up murdering me, his mother be at my fucking funeral. If I murdered him, my mother be at his funeral type shit. That's how close it was. That's why the Lord got to come and clean us up, man. And this devil got to go. It says they prey on widows and take advantage of orphans. And that's us, man. Okay? That's us. It says, but what will you do when I punish you, when I send a disaster upon you from a distant land? And that distant land is going to be when them nukes hit this place, man. Okay? And them nations coming against Babylon the Great. But it says, deprive the poor of justice and deny the rights of the needy among my people. They prey on widows, okay, and take advantage of orphans, man. Because our women, basically they were widows because the men weren't in the house. And we were orphans because technically our mothers, they were controlled and given over to the government, and our fathers was either out in the streets working, you know, with other women or in prison somewhere, or not able to see the child. Like I saw a disgusting video yesterday. This black woman was awarded $1,200 in child support court a week and basically stated, now what, nigga? Yeah, I need all that. She said, you ain't gonna take care of nobody kids but mine. And you only could see your kid one day a week. And if that Jake was smart, he would take that video and he would appeal that damn sentence and he would show that judge exactly what she said. That'll shut her mouth up, because if he has any type of mercy in him, he would see that these women use child support as a front and as to live a whorish life, man. He'd take that video and he'd show the courts, because see, Eve is not that smart. You know, if you even had a ulterior motive as such, you would have kept that hush-hush, man. Because I guess he used to see his child every day, but she like, I'm taking your money and you only can see your child one day a week. And you ain't taking care of another woman's child but mine. See, that couldn't be me, man. I've been locked up. Chick said that shit to me, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not going to tolerate that level of disrespect. That's why, brothers, man, be careful when dealing with these women out here. You know what I'm saying? Keep your head on a swivel. You know, you got you a decent Eve, then deal with her, man. You know, but hey, don't be dealing with these ratchet lights out here. All right, if they ain't, you know, don't be getting involved with these ratchet lights, man. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't get involved with that, man. All right, you know what I'm saying? Do what you do and get the fuck out of there, man, if need be. Other than that, don't be dealing with these ratchet lives, man. You know, you got you a decent Eve that's decent to deal with compared to what Babylon has to offer or don't have to offer. Then you take that and you take it with a grain of salt and you deal what you got to do, man. But these ratchet ones, nah, bro. I'll pass straight up. Anyway, one more precept, then I'm gonna end it. I'm gonna play the last video, but I just found that was rather interesting. But this is the book of Sirach 3, and I'm gonna start at verses 2. It says, "For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and Esau knows this, and this is the reason why he destroyed the communities." You know, because they know with a strong father figure in the house that's able to put down discipline and balance, the child will come out more more stable, more dominant, or not dominant, but more stable, okay, more confident, okay, not as fickle. Because when you only have a one-parent household, oftentimes the child will be confused, it's fickle as hell. They will have all types of mental disparities, mental issues, man. You know, they can't focus, they're rebelling out, they're lashing out. You know, that's why you have the prison population. But it says, "For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and have confirmed the authority over the mother over the sons. Whosoever honored his father, making an atonement for his sins." Now, you ask any of those guys in the video I'm getting ready to show you, most of them are going to say, "I never met my father," or "I can't stand my father," or "I hate my father." So when they see a man that look just like them, that hatred lashes out because of what the seed that the so-called white man sowed, man. He sowed a seed of hatred and doubt in our people to the point when they see each other, they hate each other, man. Like the scriptures say, they should be like wild bulls in a net. That's Jake, man. That's the gang coach I'm getting ready to show. It says, and he that honor his, it says, "Whosoever honored his father, making an atonement for his sins, and he that honor his mother is as one that laid up treasure. But whosoever honor his father shall have joy of his own children. And when he make prayer, his prayer he should be heard." That's right. It says, "And he that honor his father shall have a long life." So that's why Jakes die early, man. They hate their fathers. You know, like no matter what disparities my father and my mother went through, I never had anything bad to say about my father. Never. I remember it was a time she tried to turn me against him, but the spirit was dealing with me then, and he wouldn't allow it. The Lord wouldn't allow it. The Lord like, "Nah, bro. This your pops." No matter what my pops appeared or whatever they may say he did, I was always smart enough to know that there's two sides of a story. Same thing with my kid. She has my spirit in her. She's not stupid. She understands it. You know, one side of the story being displayed. You know, but I've never, ever disdained my father for nothing, man. I always was an honor to be around him, no matter if he was there for the short time and when he was there or when he wasn't. It was always an honor to be around that man because I knew it was somebody that actually cared. I can feel the presence of protection around him. You feel protected when you're around your father naturally, man. I feel like could nothing touch me when I was around that man. And I loved every second of it, even if it was just me spending time with him for 2 or 3 hours. He'd take me shopping and do whatever he do, man. You know, I loved every minute of it. And, you know, if I can just give 1 minute to spend time with my father again on his side, I'll do it, you know, because he's in the spirit world. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But it's a beautiful thing having that in life, man. But it's sad that a lot of us can't partake in our child's lives as we want to because of the broken bonds and the feminism and the welfare and all this other shit, man. The whole culture. It's hard, man, to even want to even deal with it. So now it's a sacrifice, man. Like the Lord said, hey, you got to sacrifice something to serve him. So it is what it is, but we're going to get all that back. But it says, he that honor his father shall have a long life, and he that is obedient unto Yahweh shall be a comfort to his mother. And he that feareth the Lord will honor his father, and will do service unto his parents as to his masters, because your parents are your first owners, man, outside of the Lord. It says, but honor thy father and thy mother, birth and word, and indeed that a blessing may come upon thee from them. So, you know, you do well by them. Hey, you never know, man. They may have an inheritance set up in your name, a trust fund. You just don't know. You know, if they pass over, you get an inheritance from that. You know, at least, you know, when you work your job, even though the 401k and the life insurance policy is all capped, You know what I'm saying? Always have something set up for your kids if you could, you know. If you ain't dealing with the mother, have it set up for the kids. If you dealing with the mother of your child still young in the situation, then have some set up for your family. But it says, honor thy father and mother, both in word and deed, that a blessing may come upon thee from them. It says, for the blessing of the father established the house of children, but the curse of the mother rooted out foundations. And this was the curse of the mother, man. Okay, going into this video here. This is the curse of the mother because, hey, once again, Eve, she fell for the okie doke. She bit the apple again and fell into the vain philosophies of Esau, Edom. This is the result of it today. And it's a repeated cycle of violence, man. This is why Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has to come and deliver us, man. He has to. There's no other way. Okay, it says, glory not to dishonor thy father, for thy father dishonor is no glory unto thee, man. Okay, it says, for the glory of a man is from the honor of his father, and the mother in dishonor is a reproach to the children, man. Okay, so, hey, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. And with that, shalom and a ball. Shalom.
28 identical lifeless buildings were built in 1962 in Bronzeville on the south side of Chicago. It was the largest project in the country at one time. It was more like a concrete maze and had no trees in sight. Chicago had many segregation laws at the time, and still to this day one of the most segregated cities in America. From the jump, things were bad at Robert Taylor. It was built for $11,000, but held $27,000. It soon became one of the top 5 poorest areas in the country, with mostly single-parent households making less than $5,000 a year. Majority of people here had a family member in prison. It was basically a high-rise slum and heavily neglected by the city. That meant faulty garbage chutes, broken elevators, with no maintenance. More than that, it was a hub of drug dealing and a home turf of multiple gangs that still exist to this day. Mickey Cobras, GD, and BDs to be exact. Even the police and ambulance were scared to come here, because once you got inside, it was a maze of dark hallways.
Elevators are a common setting for assaults. In fact, a fifth of crimes at Robert Taylor happen to residents while they're coming in and out of their buildings.
It was the worst in the 70s, and in one weekend there was 300 shootings around Robert Taylor, and 28 people were killed.
If you got a gun and that's the only way you can fight me is by a gun, then I have to, hey, you ain't no man, but I'm gonna have to fight your way in order to protect what's mine.
Yeah, you know,
ain't no way.
It's the environment in which we live, man. You know, I don't care whether you're with a group of people or you by yourself. You always have to keep your guards up, man, because you don't know when temptation is lurking around the corner for, you know, for your number to come up, you know.
Hey,
You see what I do? I don't bother nobody. I don't want nobody to bother me. But they do know that I can't play their game. I'm quite sure of that, bro.
See, that's the thing that worries me, man. You can't be fair out here, man. You have to play by their rules. If you don't, then you lost out.
There's a few notorious cases from here too. October 76, 22-year-old Denise Dozier thrown from the 15th floor apartment window. She survived. Because of this, the city built fences to enclose the balconies, and the project looked more like an asylum than homes. In August 91, Officer Jimmy Haynes was shot by a sniper. He died 2 days later. Some famous faces were able to make it out of here. Mr. T, Corey Holcomb, Kenny Duckworth, Open Mike Eagle, all hail from Robert Taylor homes. Kendrick even raps about this briefly on his song Duckworth, describing his father's story. He raps, he came from the streets, the Robert Taylor homes, Southside Project, Chirac, the Terror Dome. Currently, the city moved out all of the residents by 2005, and it was completely demolished by 2007.